Hey guys, this is going to be your tutorial for your April craft kit. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make everything that comes in your box. Some of it's pretty self-explanatory, but the things that aren't, I'm going to go ahead and make my own here for you to see. We're going to start with your tissue paper painting. So you guys will get sheets of tissue paper in your box, and this is just leftovers from the original one I made. It's not going to look like this. There'll be squares, but not little squares, bigger ones. That way you have the ability to go ahead and rip the pieces off. So that's what you're going to start with. You're going to go ahead and tear pieces of tissue paper however you'd like, and you choose your colors. You don't have to tear them either. You could also cut out shapes if you want. It's entirely up to you. Once again, I know I mentioned previously before these went live, this is messy. You'll see I have my table covered because I know when I made the first one, the colors from the tissue paper kind of ended up everywhere. So definitely protect your table. If you want, you can also wear gloves. I ended up with blue and green fingers afterwards, so it's a good outdoor activity. I would be doing mine outside, except it's a little chilly today, and a little breezy, which doesn't work well with tissue paper. All right, so I have a good pile of tissue paper strips there. You'll need a cup of water. The paintbrush comes in your kit. You're gonna go ahead and paint water onto your paper to get it a little bit damp. Just like that. Now remember, you guys are putting yours on a canvas. I'm not using a canvas right now, just a piece of paper. That's why my paper's kind of curling, because I'm getting it wet. Once you've gotten it wet, you can go ahead and start placing your tissue paper on the paper. Now, depending on how wet your canvas is, it may not stick completely. This is where you're gonna take your paintbrush and go ahead and wet those pieces down onto the paper. So you just continue to do that using whatever colors, patterns, however you want to do it throughout the entire piece. In your case, again, the canvas. They need to be pretty wet just because that's going to get your colors to essentially bleed onto the backdrop. I'm just randomly placing mine right now. In the canvas I made, I attempted to make it look like flowers in a field. I don't think it quite worked, but it still was fun. All right. So you just keep on doing this. You can overlap your tissue paper. I do think when you overlap it though, it causes the colors to kind of run together. I learned that on the first one I made. So keep that in mind if you do decide to overlap them, especially when it comes to what colors mixed with what create a different color. You'll end up with a lot of brown if you're not careful. All right, there you go. You can see I have my whole paper covered. It is wet and you will need to let it dry. So I'm gonna set this to the side. Hopefully it dries. When it was outside, doing it in the sun, it dries pretty quickly. Inside it might take a little while, but for now I'm gonna go ahead and set it aside. Once it's done drying, all you have to do is take your tissue paper off of your canvas. Mine, honestly, because I was doing it outside and it dried so fast, it was falling off of the canvas before I even had a chance to take it off. But we'll come back to this in a little bit. The next one we're gonna work on are your watercolor coffee filter butterflies. So you have some coffee filters in your box. There should be 3 total. You're gonna go ahead and take your washable markers. I forgot to grab. Okay. And you're gonna go ahead and just make whatever design you would like on your coffee filter. So you can, you know, draw hearts. Really, it's totally up to you. For the purposes of keeping the video a little shorter, I'm just gonna quickly doodle some things on here. Remember to leave some white space, because if you don't, all the colors will end up blending together once you get this wet. What color am I? Ooh, we need green. And as you can see, even as I draw them, the coffee filter soaks up the color quite a bit. Okay, so we'll stick with that. Move my markers out of the way here. Now what you're gonna wanna do is drip water onto your coffee filter. Again, a little messy. You're gonna want something underneath it because it is gonna go straight through the coffee filter. I'm gonna go ahead and use this brush again because it's right here, but you just wanna drip a little bit. You don't wanna go too crazy with it onto your coffee filter, and you wanna do it over what you've colored there already. So I'm just gently touching the wet paintbrush onto the marker that I have drawn on the coffee filter already. As you can see, the colors are starting to spread out some. Probably could have actually added a few more things to this. Also, guys, just so you're aware, when you first get your coffee filter, it's probably going to be folded. You do want to try to flatten it out. It's going to naturally flatten out a bit, especially once you get it wet. But we'll go ahead like that. So now I have this pretty colorful wet coffee filter here. And you're going to actually need to do this twice because you're going to need 2 to make your butterfly. So just like our tissue paper painting, we have to set that aside to dry. I'm going to move it over here. This one, I do have 2 already dried and made, so I can go ahead and show you what to do next. Got my table a little wet here. So once this is completely dry, if you don't have the sun to stick it out in, it does take a couple hours, so just be prepared for that. You are going to go ahead and do an accordion with your coffee filter. So you're going to take each layer and fold it till you have it completely folded. Doesn't have to be perfect. I unfolded mine so you can tell mine is folding very easily. So there's one. Set that aside, and then you have your other one. I just love how they look almost tie-dyed. Fold it. All right, so then you're going to take your 2 accordion filters and stack them on top of each other. Go ahead and take your pipe cleaner that you have and use that to hold them together in the middle. So I kind of just wrap mine around the middle like that. And then what I did was pulled mine up and I twisted to make a little antenna. And then you get 2 of these. So go ahead and do the same thing with the other one. Wrap it around, and there you go. think I ended up crossing mine at the top too. But then you just want to spread out your butterfly wings. And voila, coffee filter butterfly. Very bright and colorful. If you have filters at home, you could make tons of these. Let's see. So next we're going to go ahead and do our earth as well. This is very simple, along the same lines. You're going to flatten out your coffee filter. You want your blue and your green markers. And you are just going to do a design. You want to kind of all over in greens and blues. I'm just kind of scribbling because I got some water on the table with the last one. So it's going through. And then you're going to take your paintbrush again, drip water on it. This one I would encourage you to color as much of it as you can. Just try to keep the colors separate. But the more colors you put on this one, the more it'll spread and the prettier it will look. All right, and then with this one, you're gonna also have to set it aside, obviously, to dry, but once it's done, you hang it up just like it is. It's already round and green and blue, so there's your earth. These are really pretty if you hang them in a window. I keep the butterfly in the windows behind me here. It's hard to see that my colors ran together because my tablecloth is so colorful underneath. Whew, a lot of them went right through. So that'll be your earth, once it dries. So again, I'm gonna move that out of the way. I am going to go grab some paper towels to dry up this table and we will move on to the next one. All right, so the next one we are gonna look at is gonna be your watercolor kite. I'm not gonna fully put this one together. I've already made one, I don't need a second one, but I will go ahead and explain to you how to do it and show you mine. So in your kit, you're gonna have a white kite. This is what you're gonna paint. These watercolors will also come in your kit and you're gonna use those to paint it however you'd like. This is gonna be the outline, the front of your kite. And then you get 3 little bows to go on your kite tails. So you're gonna go ahead, paint your kite, paint your bows however you would like. It is cardstock. It's going to curl a little bit when you paint, especially if you use a lot of water with your paint. It's not a big deal. Mine still turned out okay. You just have to give it a chance to dry, obviously. Once you've painted and it's dried, you're gonna go ahead and glue your outline to the white kite. And then in your kit, you will also receive some string that you can either glue to the back, you can tape it to the back, and it'll hang down, and then you will attach your bows however you'd like along the ribbon. It's actually yarn that you're getting, multicolored yarn. But go ahead and place them however you'd like. Again, glue them onto the yarn, tape them on, whatever works best for you. And then you'll have enough to cut a little bit more of the yarn off to go ahead and attach to the kite top. So if you want to hang it, you can hang it. And then this is what the finished kite will look like. So you have your kite tails there, the kite, I think mine are flipping over, but they're painted. And then you can hang it from up here. So very simple, but just a cute little spring project. Also, with these watercolor paints in your kit, you can make as many of these if you want. If you think you're going to want to make more than one, maybe you trace it and cut them out before you start. All right, so the last 2 we have are the cards that are included in your kit. The rainy day card is very simple. It's going to come in 3 pieces. So you're going to have a solid piece, one that has raindrops on it, and then one that has the boy and girl with the umbrella. You're going to go ahead and fold them all in half. So they'll come flat and you just fold them like this. And then you're going to want to take your glue and glue them together. Mine are stuck. There we I'll be honest, guys, this glue stick I have is terrible. This is why I use hot glue all the time. I need to get a new glue stick. All right. Alrighty, so you glue. Like I said, my glue stick is terrible. It doesn't even appear to be doing anything. And then you're gonna glue this one here. When you glue the third layer, you only want your glue to go along the outside. So obviously on the back side of it, but don't put glue behind the umbrella or the girl and boy, because ideally when you open the card, you want them to pop off the card. They kind of stick out, okay? And then that's your card. When you close it, you can decorate the front of it, open it up. You can also write something in here as well. There will be an envelope provided for that too. And then lastly, you have your umbrella card. It's going to come as 2 umbrellas. One will be patterned, one will be white. I did that thinking that way you could stack them, but honestly, you could use it as 2 cards instead, since the other side of the pattern paper is white as well. So that's what I would suggest, is have 2 umbrella cards. But it's just as simple as you have your color. You're just gonna fold them in half, decorate, draw, design whatever you want on the inside. On your white card, maybe use your watercolor paints, decorate it that way, or you could use your markers. But then you've got these cute little umbrella cards. These do not have envelopes. These are probably better more as like just a little note to leave for someone. Otherwise, that should be about it. My tissue paper is not dry yet. It's gonna take some time, but it's pretty simple. As you can see, when I pull off the paper here, the pieces that I can get to, how pretty is that? It's like the paper is still there. I will say when you use it on the canvas, just so you're aware, I don't think the color soaks up as much. It's gonna look a lot brighter on paper, but I thought it would be a neat little keepsake. Those of you looking for something to give mom for Mother's Day, get creative with it. Another thing, if you guys have those white crayons lying around, maybe left over from Easter, from doing Easter eggs, before you put your tissue paper down, draw a design with your white crayon on the paper. And when you finish this and take your tissue paper off, anywhere you drew, the design will still show. So while my paper is very wet still, there's no tissue paper on it, and that's what it looks like. Pretty cool, right? All right, guys, that is the April craft kit. If you have any questions for me, reach out. You guys are welcome to send me an email, or you can contact me on Facebook. Otherwise, have fun, and I will see you guys next time.